Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Transform Your Confidence Show. I'm your host as usual, Raj Gurn. And as I always do, I am shamelessly going to be asking for your support. I would love for you guys to subscribe to the Open Chest Confidence Academy on YouTube and on our socials, and to the Transform Your Confidence Show on podcast platforms. Because, guys, I say this every single week, but I just feel that I need to always make sure that I reaffirm this. And these episodes, this one today, and all the ones that we've done previously in season 1, because we are now into the second month of season 2, they're all available on these platforms whenever you want, on demand, completely free. I want to make sure that you guys get the opportunity to just go in there, subscribe, hit the notification button, and all of that lovely stuff. So every single time we drop a new episode, which they all come out weekly, every Tuesday, I want to make sure that you guys are notified. All right. The other way that you can actually pop over, if you're more of a person like me, where you just prefer the read, you can go over to our blog at the openchestconfidenceacademy.com/media/podcasts. Okay, so today I'm very excited because we're going to be kicking off the month of March with a mindset and clarity themed episode called How to Achieve a Deeper Wellness in Today's Climate. I know from my perspective, a lot of my colleagues, my co-workers, friends, family, we're all kind of coming out the other end of what has been a very, very challenging 3 years. And, we're also faced with a lot of different things in our own personal lives, in addition to this one challenge that we've all faced together. And I couldn't think of a better time to really have this conversation, especially since the person that I'm going to be talking to today has really kind of figured this out. So let me just take a moment to introduce her. I'll be speaking with clinical psychologist, my dear friend, Dr. Monica Vermani, about her debut book, aptly entitled A Deeper Wellness, where she'll be breaking down some tips and resources, as well as just a lot of other things that I want her to have the opportunity to share with us today. Let me just tell you a little bit about Monica for those of you who didn't check out the first time I had her on the show last year. Monica is a prominent expert in the trauma and wellness space. She's a mental health advocate and the founder of a busy practice in Toronto, Canada. She is also a revered corporate wellness speaker and the founder of the 18 Life Lessons membership portal, which provides resources and tips for absolutely everyone to access. She also holds regular corporate wellness seminars in person and virtually. So if you're one of those companies out there, if there's any HR people that are listening, watching, or reading this, I want you guys to please hit her up. She'll be sharing her information shortly. But I really, I want to kind of really just jump right in there and introduce the fabulous Monica. Sweetheart, thank you so much for coming back a second time. And especially since now we're in a place where we've got something really incredible to talk about, which is your debut book.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm quite excited. I've been working hard on trying to build resources for people who can't afford therapy or just don't have access and the time for it. And so the book and online platform are 2 avenues for a lot of people to receive treatment or self-help as they try to navigate healing and keeping healthy in today's times.
Absolutely, Monica. For those people who aren't familiar with your story, I really want to take a moment to have you share components of it because, you really had a guided journey towards becoming a psychologist. Can you just maybe paint a picture of your formative years? Because I feel that your story really isn't run of the mill. Like you really have been guided to the place that we are here today to talk about. And this is your debut book.
Well, on a personal front, when you ask me this question, my mind goes to a time where I had to write my statement for intent to get into my doctorate. And at that time, I remember drafting one and having a mentor I was working for at CAMH take a quick read through it. And he had said, nope, scrap this, throw it out and write it from the heart. He goes, you're writing this like you're dictating your resume and you're talking about things I already know about you from your resume. Speak from your heart of what's bringing you to psychology. Mm-hmm. And so I'll answer this question with that in mind. When I rewrote that statement of intent, I went through the story of my life, and I talked about how, as much as I've chosen to be a psychologist, my life really led me here. And so I was born as an only child for 10 years with immigrant parents that we had no other family in Canada, Toronto. And I was born and raised in Toronto, but my father had gone through a workplace accident, and that accident had put him into a suffering place where he had trauma and he was going through a lot. And me and my mom grew up quite a bit. You know, my mom was the youngest of five, my dad's the eldest of five. And so my mom grew up faster in some ways and had to become a caregiver. And I grew up faster as a child to caregive at home for a parent that was ill, as well as, you know, help support my mother get her life together. Being a caretaker in that role just kind of led me along the ways of volunteering. And then I had meditation teachers around, and meditation came into my life, and I learned a little bit of how to balance, you know, suffering and life and responsibilities with also bringing in an inward work with meditation. And then academically, I always had people say, you know, you're really caring and you should look into social work or psychology. And I was really interested in art, and I did get into an art college at one point, and
I didn't know that.
I chose not to pursue it because art was a hobby and an interest for me to kind of channel my emotions, but wasn't a place I saw myself having a career. But I had a teacher who believed in me. And then I got into U of T and I did a science degree. And taking that science degree, when I took psychology, the rest just kind of pieced together. And I ended up specializing with psychology, women's studies, sociology, and criminology. And I got fortunate enough that I had the right mentors, and people just magically show up. So sometimes, you know, we don't see the bigger picture of our life. And that's why I said I've been guided here. The right mentors showed up and, you know, were supportive and kind. My parents are wonderful people, but, you know, being immigrants here, they didn't understand this world that I was entering. I had the right mentors look at me and say, what are you doing? Like, you're quite smart, you're quite driven. Let's put this together, go back to school, do your master's, do your PhD. And with the right mentorship, I am where I am today. The hard work ethic, I think I can thank my mom for that. And we've worked hard to be where we're at. But with me, from an early age, I can say my life has guided me to be in psychology since I was young. And one reason why I think I'm very good at specializing with mood, anxiety, and trauma is I grew up seeing it up close and personal.
I love everything about that. And it's a beautiful entry into us talking about the book, Monica. I feel that we just need to just dive right in there. A Deeper Wellness is your first published book. First of all, I want to give you a hearty congratulations. What an incredible milestone in a career that's had many incredible milestones. I want to ask you, before we kind of really start talking about the book, why decide to write this book? Why this book?
So I'm going to correct you a little bit there.
Okay.
This is actually my second published book. My
first
book was my thesis, got published into a book after I actually published my thesis.
Wow.
And so my doctoral thesis was about creating a self-help tool that we can do in medical clinics and family walk-in clinics to help family physicians pick out mood and anxiety, because many times people are going to their family doctors with physical symptoms, but there's a psychological cause. And because of today's quick-paced medical offices and appointments, we don't get to talk about what's going on in our lives. And so my thesis turned into something that was a hot topic at that time, to look at, hey, are we overspending money on medical resources out there that are psychologically caused that we need therapy for? So that book's more of an academic book, which it wasn't for the public. This is my first book, A Deeper Wellness, that is for the public. And this is me breaking down the academic side to me to look at day to day, what do I do with patients day in and day night? And how do I help people? And I bring together 25 years plus of knowledge in different sectors I've worked at, specializing with mood, stress, anxiety, relationships, boundaries, compassion, self-esteem, and just building yourself up on a coaching front to bring balance into your life. And so this book is, you know, tidbits of resources and tools. The first step to treatment is always awareness. And many of us are not even aware of the symptoms we have. And when do they become from just symptoms to problems in our life that we have to address? this book is about going deeper, going within, and allowing yourself to look at the layers of healing that are important for you to become a higher, better version of yourself. We all deserve a better quality of life. Just sometimes we get caught up in that rat race, and the rat race allows us to get caught up in doing mundane routines and responsibilities, but we don't always live. We just start existing.
Absolutely. And, you know, since this is your first published book for the public, I want to ask you this, because, you know, people who aren't perhaps inclined towards, you know, a meditative practice or a spiritual practice, even though I kind of, you know, feel that we all are on some level, even if we're not consciously tapped into it, I'd like you to give everyone a bit of an explanation regarding how do we cultivate a deeper wellness? I feel like I'm asking you a question that, you know, begs a really huge answer. But if you were to get to the crux of that for everyday people, what would it be?
So the title, A Deeper Wellness, can speak to that a lot. The one reason why I titled this book, A Deeper Wellness, is we do need to go within and look at ourselves on a deeper insight. And, you know, meditation is where you lose the concept of time and space. It's where you become in a place where you're at complete focus with one thing with complete presence. And so this book is about you going inwards. Each and every one of us have a, you know, we're told from a young age to look at answers on the outside of us. We go to professionals, we talk to mentors, we ask our parents, we ask our grandparents, we look to our peers. But the truth is, you know, life's journey is about incorporating people's opinions, but many times our answers and solutions come from deep within. And each and every one of us know all human behavior has a purpose. All our symptoms have a purpose, but only we know the purpose of those symptoms. And so when we're asking people, they really can't tell you the story of your life and why you are suffering with what you do suffer from, including on a symptom front. All problems break down into physical, physiological symptoms, negative thoughts, and negative behaviors. And only we know why we do what we do and what we're holding on to that might be repeating as a pattern or is keeping us stuck in a pattern. And so this book is about you going deeper within, as the answers really lie within, not outside of you. And once you start going into deeper within, wherever you're at, you know, each and every one of us are at a different level. And so wherever you're at, this book allows you to go deeper and allow yourself to examine the true purpose of your symptoms, the true purpose of your behaviors, and to break patterns that no longer serve your highest and best.
Before we get into the book, I want to ask you this, Monica. Is it true that the book is partly autobiographical and partly like a handbook of sorts? Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Sure. This is more like it's a handbook and a workbook.
Okay.
Now, the autobiography part, I don't talk about my life story, but I do talk about all the tools and where I acquire them from. And so when I look at my 25 years of experience, I've been quite fortunate. I started my work working with abused women and children, then work with women in prison, work with men in prison, work with sex offenders in correctional services. I've worked at CAMH with anxiety disorders, Lakeridge Mental Health Center with children and families with anxiety, UHN with brain and spinal cord injury, military work, 9/11 work. And I've incorporated the traditional roots of cognitive behavioral therapy with psychotherapy, as well as mindfulness meditation, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, mindfulness-based stress reduction, as well as done breath, body, mind programs with psychiatrists in New York. So I've had a wide array of different practices. And so in my day-to-day practice, I bring in different tools according to the different unique people in front of me. And this book is something that applies to everyone. And it allows people to look at what fits them. But I've tried to take tools that applies to everybody, that everybody responds to, and allow you to glimpse into your life with a different view and a different perspective.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, who's the book targeted at? Would you say everyone?
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting you say that. Marketing people say, when you say it's for everyone, it's for no one. And
Absolutely.
The truth is, I have to admit, I've made this book in such a way that wherever you're at, whatever stage, you can apply this knowledge to your life. And so it is really for everyone, youth as well as seniors. It's about you going into your life at your level and looking at the layers of healing that you have to do to allow yourself to be free of symptoms, as well as, free of things that you carry that no longer serve you.
Let's talk a little bit about the book itself, its contents. What do people need to know about the book? Because you've been a little bit different about the way that, you've put it together, because you want to take people on this kind of quote unquote manual or handbook type of journey. Can you explain a little bit about what they should expect?
So the book, really, the first step of treatment is awareness. And so I help people facilitate awareness in their life. Many times we don't realize symptoms and how they affect us. And many times we're so busy taking care of others at our expense that we ignore our symptoms, or we self-medicate, or we use alcohol, drugs, we take an Advil, we try to, take a day off work and sleep more. But that's not solving the problem to why your life is the way it is, with relationships, with yourself, prioritizing physical over mental health. And so this book allows you to break down, one, awareness about your symptoms and understanding truly, what is affecting you on a day-to-day basis, even if you don't realize it. And then the other part of the book is, I always say, being well adjusted to a sick society is unhealthy. And we foster our children to fit into today's society that is full of competitiveness, oversleeping, undersleeping, overeating, undereating, having a tendency to self-medicate, trying to fit in and be super person in each of our roles. And that's impossible to maintain in life. And so this book allows you to realize that you're perfect and a work in progress. And that's okay. Each and every one of us have areas of healing to do. Each and every one of us need to take a step back, pause and reflect, go inwards and be honest with yourself. We all put on a different mask to sometimes fit into our careers, try to, fake it till you make it, or try to be someone who is that perfect child or sibling or friend and colleague and try to put our best foot forward. But sometimes we need to just take a step back and look at areas that we're sacrificing by trying to be everybody's everything. And is it really serving you? Is it helping you? Are you healthy on the inside out? Many of us, on the outside look healthy, but as we know in today's world, many people have an appearance, but on the inside are suffering. And this book is the deeper wellness. Go inwards and be honest with yourself. What areas are you suffering from? And can you help yourself at least take a step forward into treatment? The one thing spiritually I've noticed is when you take one step forward in a direction, the path appears. And so I always tell patients when they get into my office for the first session, your hardest part is getting here. The rest will appear. And then our journey starts as therapeutically, the journey unfolds as to what needs to be treated first, what needs to be addressed first. And bit by bit, we take actionable steps to shift from where you are to where you want to be. That's what this book does. It helps you look at symptoms, understand them, understand major topics in your life: guilt, procrastination, anxiety, stress, depression, which we all have symptoms. But when does it become problematic? How does it affect your relationships? How to forgive, how to set boundaries, how to turn inwards and actually feel deserving of love just the way you are, without putting all these standards and requirements of who we think we need to be. It's important for us to recognize that it's okay, I'm perfect and a work in progress, just like everybody else.
I love that. A perfect work in progress. That just makes you feel like you can breathe. It really, really does. So let me ask you this, Monica. How do you suggest people actually use the book to get the most out of it? Because you've rightfully said that it really is for anyone at any stage of their journey. Yeah. Like, what are maybe a few things that you can tell people to maybe help guide them to get the most out of the book when they pick it up?
So the way I've written this book is, as I mentioned, I've put in tidbits of knowledge that I do day to day in therapy. And it applies to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, what age bracket, gender. You can take a chapter, read it, and apply it to yourself. But the other way this book is useful, it's a workbook as well as a handbook. So it educates you, but it's also something that it's like a movie. When you watch it over and over, you get different pieces. This book is the same way. You can go through the same chapter over and over with different topics and problems in your life and go deeper into understanding how to heal it. So the information is written in such a strategic way for you, one, to gain insight and awareness, but to also have actionable points that you can apply to your life. And so this workbook is something where you're going to go through it once, and then you're going to find yourself go through it again and again and again, and you'll find different layers of healing. And that's something I learned from one of my meditation classes. I take a meditation class with a bunch of my mentors, and it's called 100 Monkeys. And in that class, we read the same scriptures and the same books every year. And each time you read it, you get another tidbit of knowledge. And so when I wrote this book, I wanted it to be something that every time you go back to a chapter, another tidbit of knowledge comes out. And the one thing I've learned about life stories as an exercise is that when you share your life story, it comes out different each and every time according to your healing. And so as you work through this workbook, as you work through things and you heal, you're going to find the material changes for you. The words are the same, the chapter's the same, but your answers to them will shift as you shift in your progress and healing. This workbook is something that you can use over and over to allow yourself to heal further and further. And as you are honest and transparent with yourself, you will find further healing. And each time you go through it, there will be a better quality of life.
Absolutely. You know, I don't know why this is coming to me, but it is. So I'm going to share it, Monica. It's kind of like, you know, when you read scriptures, in whatever religion you may belong to or what doctrine you may have grown up with, every time you go back to your book, quote unquote, your book, you read the same sentences with a different perspective because you're a different person at that moment than you were when you read it before. And it seems like that's the kind of ideology behind which you've kind of set the intention of this book. And I love that. I really, really do. It's almost like you've written it open-ended. Like there's some very solid, very specific, you know, theories and ideologies associated with just the 25 years that you've been in the, you know, in your industry. But then there's also kind of that open-endedness to it. With that said, I want to ask you this obvious question, but I just feel that it's not going to be an obvious answer, knowing you the way that I know you. Why is a book like this needed today?
Today is a time that people are recognizing they have so much bottled up. You know, the pandemic was an interesting experience for me as a therapist to see each and every person from different walks of life and how they've experienced symptoms. And we all have symptoms, but during this pandemic, I found people's symptoms exacerbated, got worse, got more complicated, relationships got challenged, you know, self-esteem got challenged, social anxiety got on a higher front where people are a lot more self-conscious about how people perceive them. There's a disconnect from others, but there's a disconnect from ourselves. And many people are just suffering in silence or in confusion of not knowing where to pursue resources or healing. And today, you know, I'm sure a lot of therapists can agree with me that there is a shortage of resources out there. We're trying to find therapists for people. We're trying to find psychiatrists, and we're finding it harder and harder. More and more people going on sick leave, short-term, long-term disabilities. And so today's time, you know, again, as I mentioned earlier, this has been a progress for me. I've been working on this book for years because there's so much knowledge in here. And I wanted to break it down to the core topics everybody talks to me about: guilt, boundaries, self-care, prioritizing yourself, you know, having a better opinion of yourself, working through symptoms, understanding addictions. And so this book helps you understand the top topics. Now, today's world, why is it necessary? Symptoms are at a high. And secondly, this book was put together to be a self-help resource for people to add into their life, because many people are finding self-help works. But self-help books oftentimes make you feel good, but they don't give you actionable points to work on and get through suffering. This book gives you the education, but also helps you take action to bring and facilitate change. Many of us want change. We don't know how to do it. We read good books that bring those warm and fuzzy feelings, but they don't help us shift. That's why we come to therapists. But even if you're lacking a therapist or have one and don't know how to navigate those sessions, this book helps you understand it further. You know, the knowledge I've given people has also given me feedback too. I was very fortunate. One of the people who proofread the book for me was somebody who confessed that she's in her own work and she found this book valuable to help her shift her focus with her therapist, and found herself going deeper with her own knowledge set with her therapy sessions because of the book and what came up for her. In the same boat, anybody who has read it has given me great insights. I wrote it saying it's conquering stress, mood, anxiety, and traumas, but each and every one of us have different layers of traumas, different layers of symptoms. And so sometimes I had one girlfriend read it and she'd say, this is for me, like forget stress, trauma, and anxiety. I wouldn't see myself as a person who suffers with that. But she goes, when I read this, I'm like, I can apply all of this to my life. And that's why I said it is for everybody, regardless of the stage you're at. But today, there's more symptoms than ever. And today there's more busyness in the air. There's more like people actively searching for answers, searching for what's the purpose of my life. I've seen more people change careers, leave careers, change dynamics at home, relationship statuses, buy a home outside, go, work away from home. People have shifted their lives during this pandemic. And during the pandemic, a lot of symptoms have surfaced. A lot of people who didn't think their traumas affected them. I've had a lot of first responders confess to having accumulated stress and PTSD from accumulated events show up and bubble up because now they had the time for it. Or I've had first responders working around the clock where they've learned to sacrifice to an extent where right now they're exhausted and depleted. This is the time to address wherever your life is, to go deeper and look at, what's going to make me happy? How can I bring more gratitude in my life? How can I have more connection? But that's going inwards. Nobody's going to give you the answer outside.
Absolutely. Early reviews and testimonials are in. And from what I've been looking at, people are really, really, loving what they're reading here. Like there's just a lot of positivity that's coming out of, a lot of the feedback that's coming back. I would love to ask you, what are you finding to be kind of the common denominator? Now, you just finished sharing that, people, different types of people that maybe don't think that they're suffering from anything, all the way up to people who are very, very sure that they are getting something out of the book. What are you finding to be kind of the common denominator that perhaps you didn't see coming from the, some of the feedback that you're getting from the book?
So I've had a lot of good feedback from even the weekly articles I post since like the pandemic started. And so people have liked the writing style of tidbits of knowledge with actionable points. And when people read this book, I've had a lot of fascinating feedback of how friendly but challenging it is. It's holding your hand in a compassionate way through understanding, breaking things down, and helping you then answer core questions to help you heal or shift in some direction to seek the help you need in order to heal. And so a lot of people have said that this book is something that has worked for them. A lot of people have stated that they wish they had this book during times that they were going through challenges in their lives, as it would have brought them solace and compassion and support in some ways. Many times we want support, and a lot of people are struggling today. I've had a lot of people say they're disappointed in their friends and family for not being there when they're struggling with so many symptoms. But like I said, each and every one of us are perfect and a work in progress. And so we don't realize a lot of people are going through stuff and they're bottling it up inside. So it is important for us to take charge and help ourselves right now, not just realize that our friends and family have to be responsible for our symptoms. Oftentimes, I always say when you're in pain, you spill over onto others. But sometimes people are bottling it up inside and they're not spilling onto others. They're just disconnecting. And so we need to see that as a symptom too. A lot of feedback I'm getting is it helps people have insights and brings them to not only feeling good, but taking actionable points to be better and make their lives better.
Absolutely. Something came to me, Monica, that I'd like to share. And this is just, even though the book is for everyone, I feel that I need to kind of, maybe encapsulate some of that. People, some people work from home, other people are working in hybrid work environments, other people are working still, from physical workspaces. How do you feel the book can help people deal with a lot of the things that are changing, with just the different ways that we have to work today? It just seems to be so much more complicated than it ever was before, because there are so many different multifaceted ways that we actually, quote unquote, go to work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for mentioning that. Right now there's a lot of transitions, and people are creatures of habit. We don't like change. And another thing we do is we try so hard to have structure and control in our lives. This book talks about control. The two reasons we suffer in life: we don't accept people as they are, including ourselves, and we don't accept situations as they are. And right now, it's really hard to accept people, changes, opinions, as well as workplaces, mandates, and accepting situations when it comes to the rules and regulations that COVID brought, as well as lifting them right now. So this book is about helping you heal and also understand how to accept change in your life. Mm-hmm. We struggle with change because we always worry about fear of uncertainty, fear of bad things happening. We tie uncertainty to bad things oftentimes because problems come with uncertainty. They just show up out of the blue. Mm-hmm. Good things happen too, but most of us are more afraid of bad things happening. And so during this time, I think with people going back to work, there's a lot of anxiety about adjusting to the change, adjusting to, can I handle it? Fear and anxiety is self-doubt. This book is about enhancing self-esteem to trust your skill set. To date, each and every one of you out there, your skill set has got you through the most challenging times, the most biggest traumas, even if you feel like you haven't skillfully or tactfully gone through situations, you've gone through them. Mm-hmm. And it's important for us to recognize whatever changes the future brings, workplaces, home life, shifts and turns and symptoms. Life only gives you what you can handle, and you've handled everything. This book's about, how do I handle this with a better quality of life? Mm-hmm. With managing my symptoms and being more empowered versus feeling afraid of losing control in life. Pandemic showed us losing control. Nobody liked it. Mm-hmm. And this is about you assuming control by trusting your skill set, going in and seeing how much you have held your hand through your journeys, your sufferings, your struggles, your symptoms, and are doing pretty good. Let's just do better.
Absolutely. I know that by now everyone is gagging to find out where they need to go grab a copy. Can you share with everyone watching, listening, or reading this, where do they need to go to get a copy of A Deeper Wellness?
So right now it's on Amazon.com, and it will be on Amazon.ca in this week. But if you want to read a little bit more about it, you can go to my website, drmonicavermani.com. And on there is everything, my book, an author page about the book. It shows the cover here, and it goes through even chapters that I have in the book, as well as the Amazon links for pre-sales, which are active right now. And the full launch will be March 22nd, 2022.
Oh my gosh, guys, just get out there. The pre-sales are open. And I know that by the time you actually listen to this episode, the Canadian availability will already be active. The US availability is already active. Monica, can you share the different forms that people can purchase the book in?
Mm-hmm. The book will be in an ebook as well as paperback. And then soon after, as most books, it takes a little time, an audiobook will be released.
Mm-hmm. I cannot wait. I need a signed copy is all I have to say. 100%. I will purchase the book, but I need you to sign it for me, sweetheart, because I just know that this book is going to change so many people's lives. And I want to make sure that I have it in my library.
I'm looking forward to it. The support has been incredible. And even with the pre-sales ads that have gone out, I've had a lot of wonderful people, encourage me on. And, this book is my contribution to a greater good. This book is me taking knowledge that I apply day in and day out with patients and allow people on a greater scale to work on healing. Many of us are blessed with talent and skill and mentorship. And at some point in your age brackets and your life experience, it's nice to give back. And this book is about me giving back, helping people going a step further in their healing and allowing them to pay it forward. Because the one thing I love about my job is I love when patients say to me, I ended up giving this girlfriend advice or this guy friend advice, and I ended up sharing exactly what you would say to me. And it feels like such an honor that people can remember tidbits of knowledge as they're healing. And I always say that's a great step to healing. When you're in a better place, then you can help others heal. And so it's always a compliment when somebody shares things they've learned in their own therapy with others. And this book is going to be another thing that I could see people quote and share activities and work with their children, work with their parents. I've done some of these activities and exercises with my parents, and they don't even know it.
I love that. I love everything about what you just said there, Monica. You know, I can't believe it, but we've come to the end of another episode. And is this just so much that I know that people who have been in the show with us are going to get out of this? I know there'll be a lot of curiosity as well. Guys, just go over to the website to find out more. There's, you know, people there that have written some great testimonials about the book as well. Monica, one more time, where is, you know, what is the address that we need to send them to for your website, as well as to go purchase the book?
Okay, so it's drmonicavermani.com. So drmonicavermani.com is where my website is. On my website, any book image is clickable. You click on it and you can go straight to the author page and purchase it. You can click on the first page of my homepage is actually an actionable link as well. And if you want to go straight to the book, it's www.book.adeeperwellness.com. And you'll learn everything about the book, as well as have the pre-sales link right there for Amazon.
And guys, just, you know, this book isn't just for you. This is for anyone in your life that you care about, that you want them to have a better quality of life, through being able to kind of, you know, sit with a lot of things that they may be going through, things that you may know about, things that, you know, as we all do, that we don't share with anyone outside of ourselves. Just get this book into everyone's hands, guys, because it really, after what we've been going through over these last few years, you know, after all the kind of different narratives and all the things that have been shifting in our world as we've known it, I really do feel that this book is going to change your life. So go pick up a copy and go hang out with Monica on social. Monica, hit everyone up with everywhere you are on social and how they can go and join you.
Perfect. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. You can go on to drmonicavermani.com and all my podcasts are listed there. I'm on LinkedIn. And again, I'm writing articles every week since the pandemic started. You know, another good point to mention right now is like people are personalizing each other's symptoms. People are personalizing opinions that come with COVID and the pandemic. It is important for us to start taking charge of like staying in our lane, working on ourselves. It's not about worrying about everybody else. Let everybody else work on themselves. This is a good time for you to go deeper within. Help yourself as you work on you. I said it earlier. When you're in pain, you spill over onto others. But when you're in healing, you also spill over onto others. There's a ripple effect. Allow yourself to work on you so that there's a healthier ripple effect to your family, to your workplaces, to your friends, to your colleagues, and even to strangers. Right?
Can you take a moment to encapsulate the main message people watching, listening, and reading this should take away regarding today's, which is very, very kind of centered around your book, which is how to achieve a deeper wellness in today's climate?
The one thing I'm going to leave us all with is that people need to know that you can decide to be the best version of yourselves, that you are in charge, and that you are capable and you are worthy of love and healing, just like everybody else. Many of us struggle to go out there and get onto a path of healing because we don't feel deserving or worthy. And the one thing I'm going to say and leave us with at the end here is each and every one of us deserve to be in our highest and best version of ourselves. And so I challenge and I welcome you each to feel deserving of a better life. to alleviate your symptoms and become a better person, not only for yourself, but each and every person that you interact with.
Absolutely. Amen to that, sister. You are such a delight and such a pleasure and such a wealth of knowledge, academically, of course, because of the years that you've been in the field, therapeutically, of course, because again, the same thing, you've been in the field for so long, but personally as well, Monica, I feel this is what makes you extra special is the fact that, there are different facets of your experience, both, personal, professional, spiritual, academic, that really comes out in this book. And even for people who are lucky enough to work with you. Thank you so much. You just are a pleasure. And I can't wait till the third time you come on.
Hey. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And thank you each for listening and taking time right now to hear this radio station, and also just to understand about the book and support me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh my God, supporting you is so easy because all you do is serve, my darling. That's all you do. Guys, you. Absolutely, my love. Guys, I really hope that you got some real value from today's show. And I just know you did. There's just so much there. I also really hope that you take a moment to share this episode, whether you're on podcast, whether you're over at the blog, whether you're over at the YouTube channel, or you may be on IGTV. We're in all those places. Please share this. Please bookmark it. Come back to it and go buy the book. I really do mean that, guys. I mean, this is a book that I feel is going to be a landmark book of our times. So you got to get your hands on a copy of that and just tell everyone that you know that they need this book for themselves. All right. I also hope that, you will subscribe to my YouTube channel at the Open Chest Confidence Academy, and go hop on over to podcast platforms and search the Transform Your Confidence show if that's your preferred way of making sure that you stay up to date with our weekly missives here. And again, the blog, the website. The good thing there, guys, is that you get to do a read there, you get to listen to it there, and you also get to watch it. It's at the openchestconfidenceacademy.com/media/podcast. Guys, thank you so much for, coming in every single week like you do. You really do mean a lot to me. Like what I do is for you. It's my service to you, based on all of the years that I have been lucky enough to know people like Monica, to know just so many different people who have done incredible work and are just doing groundbreaking, work for people. My goal with this show is to help you build your confidence through tapping into these incredible people, because really knowledge is power. It's a cliche, but knowledge is power. Action is empowerment. I want to leave you with that, guys. I'll see you next week.